Well, hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
We are gathered here today for Soul Nectar Tribe gathering March 2024, exploring the mastery of love. And I'm Carrie Hummingbird,
And I am Akeem Sami.
and we are so excited to have this conversation with all of you tonight and later on the podcast as we share it out. And we're really, really excited to have the second month on this book, this amazing book,
Yes.
Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Don Miguel Ruiz.
Can you please bring me the blank piece?
Here it is. Hey, sweetie.
Hi, Abby. Hi,
Hey,
Gabrielle.
Abby. Yeah, so really, really powerful. We're really, really excited to dive deeper into this book. I mean, 1 month just was not enough. After last month, we decided we needed another go at this amazing book because we didn't even talk about the second half
Right.
last time.
It was still very much discussed. It's still a lot of fun. It still razzes me up with this conversation. You know, this mastery of love truly is a work of, if you just follow this particular book, it feels like the four agreements. It's like by itself, it's pivotal.
It's pivotal. And, you know, we are tonight going to talk about the Dream Master, seeing with the eyes of love, and healing the emotional body, as well as God within you. So we're going to see how far we get because there's still a lot to cover here. It's kind of amazing. So if you haven't picked up your copy yet, really recommend it. The Mastery of Love, Don Miguel Ruiz, and check it out.
If you're in the Soul Nectar Tribe, I do have snippets of parts and sections of this book. I actually got some feedback recently on that, saying how awesome it was just to have a snippet. It didn't have the whole book. Of course, it was designed to inspire you to purchase the book from Audible from the author and support the author and support this wonderful work. So I got rave reviews about how awesome it was just to be able to at least hear it and sample the teachings and sample the lessons, and then even hear me speak a little bit about, hey, what's my take on this and perspective on this, how awesome it is that we get to sit and Carrie and I get to have the conversation at the same time.
Yes, and for those of you who are wondering what we're talking about, what's happening every single day, all day, every day of the month, it is the Soul Nectar Tribe in the Telegram. So we have a community chat in the Telegram, and we are running a special. You can get in for $52 for the whole year. That's a great deal. So we'll put information about that in the email that goes out to the replay. And also for those of you listening back on the podcast, we'll put that out on YouTube in the show notes. Okay, so first topic tonight.
The Dream Master.
The Dream Master. Now, I am totally into dream weaving and dreaming new earth into being and dreaming a new reality and co-creating reality and all of that yummy, yummy stuff. So, you know, when I saw this section, the Dream Master, I want to be one. Do you want to be one?
I am the Dream Master.
Oh, he's already the Dream Master.
Positive assumptive there. I know that I'm a work in progress. And I grant myself the ability to say I am a work in progress.
He is a work in progress.
I am what I choose to embody.
And I am what I believe I am, which is we're going to talk about that a little bit later on.
Man,
I am what I believe
that's some iron words
I am, and
right
what
there.
I say I am, and what I act is what I am. So therefore, I am. So getting a little bit more serious about this topic, you know, the path to being a dream master, as he shares in the book, is to be truthful with yourself. You know, being truthful with yourself is not as easy as it might seem.
Yeah. And being able to control your reactions. I mean, someone's going to say something that's triggering. Someone from even the least place that you thought you'd get it from will say or do something that will bring you into this space of, oh, it's kind of reminds me of, I don't know if anyone has watched Looney Tunes here, but there's this person. What's the, I'm trying to remember his name right now, but he actually he's known for his outbursts. He just explodes when someone says something, like, I'll even do a joke right here. So Bugs Bunny is asking him for some pepper, but he combs his hair back and he's trying to pretend that he's well-to-do and we have manners here. Meanwhile, he has that deep down in the country accent. His main items are two guns, so he's loud and he's obnoxious. And there's this moment that he's trying to pretend he's not like that. Pretend that he's not like that, right?
He's trying to overcome his conditioning.
Yeah. And Bugs Bunny asks him, he's like, okay, well, this is what we're doing. Okay, this is what we're doing. Can I have some salt? The first thing that comes out of his mind is, thank you, Yosemite Sam, Abby, is the first thing that comes out of mind is his instant reaction without any filter, without any contemplation. It's not his state of being. And he's already like showing deception of who he is. He's not being truthful with himself.
He's not being truthful.
And he goes, salt, get it yourself. And then he stops and he catches himself. Sorry. And he's revising himself throughout the whole interaction. And then he asks him for pepper. Pepper. And he covers his mouth and he has to go to the other room later on because he
has to basically explode. So
he's not being truthful with himself.
He's not being truthful with himself or the relationship or the environment or whatever it is. But, whenever I get triggered, and it happens still, even though I've been on this path a while, it still get triggered. And whenever that happens, we have to slow it down and not react. That's the main thing. And so how do we do that? How do we change the patterns? How do we shift our reality? How do we shift what's happening in the dream? Because as is revealed in the book, whatever our consequences are, like whatever the condition of our life that we're experiencing, that is because of the decisions, choices, beliefs, and reactions that we are having. And the only one that's responsible for that is us. So if we have a life that's filled with consequences we don't desire, then we've got to start inside. We've got to start looking at, what do I believe? What do I think? What am I speaking into being? How am I reacting to life? And how do I want to change my life to have a different outcome? Yeah. And I love this. You talk about these two types of people, the dreamers and the stalkers. So if you're on a Toltec path, you are a stalker. But let's talk about what dreamers are first. Dreamers are people who know that the dream is an illusion, that life is an illusion, and they play in that world of illusion, knowing it's an illusion. So there's some people that are just aware that this whole thing is an illusion, and I'm just going to show up for it and whatever. I'm just going to dream. I'm just dreaming. The stalkers are like a tiger or a jaguar. The stalkers are stalking every action, every reaction, every consequence. They're stalking yourself. And here's a quote. You have to stalk your own reactions. You have to work with yourself every moment. It takes a lot of time and courage because it's easier to take things personally and react the way you always react. And that leads you to a lot of mistakes, to a lot of pain and suffering, because your reactions only generate more emotional poison and increase the drama.
I'd like to say something real quick.
Pretty powerful.
Yeah, and I want to say another piece that goes with that. There was a piece of me that wanted to revise it. It's like, who am I to want to revise it? It's just, I was being honest that within myself, there was this piece that came out that's like, but wait. It was the part where he was talking about the stalkers, and when you go into reaction, you were always going to act that way. And I think that he said this in this chapter and early enough in this chapter in this book for a reason, because the way we start without discernment is complete reaction, going right into action to react, without any contemplations of what that means, how it is, the repercussions and all that. And in time with this pathway, the inspiration and the things that I've witnessed, not just in myself, but in others, is that your energy body begins to change. It begins to change to such a point to where your normal is no longer what you would normally do anymore. That was an old version of you. And I've seen Carrie revise herself and improve herself so many times. It's like it's mind-blowing. So the way that you normally are is going to change with your discernment. It's going to change.
It's going to change because you're practicing stalking yourself, controlling those reactions. And then when you do that, you're going to see. So what does that mean? It means you're going to perceive things as they actually are. This is pivotal because the way people see when they're just in the dream is conditioned seeing. It's seeing according to roles. It's seeing according to bias. It's seeing according to how you've been conditioned to think. It's like not accurate seeing. It's seeing what you want to see. Anybody else done that? Like dated somebody seeing that you saw what you wanted to see, but then like it took months and then you realized that wasn't who that person was, but it was just who you wanted them to be. Like maybe if you wanted them to be the knight in shining armor and then you wanted to really believe that they were and they were trying to act like it, but something in you knew.
But what
that was
but
not
Carrie, but what
true.
about this? What about this? What if you didn't know that you felt that way about it? It was so repressed. What do you do with that?
Well, I mean, that's where we have to look at Abby says yes. So how, we repress our truth. This is another point that Akeem's bringing out is like, sometimes we're not even aware of it until after. And so that's why it's called stalking, because you want to look at what is the result in your life? How is your life unfolding for you? And based on how it's unfolding, you can bet that there's something in the way you're thinking, acting, speaking, or reacting that's causing your life to end up that way. So this is kind of like the outside is mirroring the inside. And a lot of people have some issue with this and they say, well, it's not exactly that way. But, because we are playing multiple player game here. So, we are interacting with others and, there's more than just us at stake. And we don't have control over the outside world and we don't have control over what other people are doing, but we do have control over how we react. So, if we choose to react to the emotional poison in the space with some more emotional poison, we definitely know there's going to be more drama and more suffering. That's a given. That's a natural consequence for that choice. But if we can control our reactions, we can start to see in a different way. And that different way is seeing things as they are without judgment. So for example, he gives an example. Somebody comes up to you and says, "You're so stupid."
And he goes, "Oh, well, one reaction is, well, maybe I am.
Maybe I am stupid." Or, "How dare you say that?" Or, "You're stupid." Or you could actually realize that that person is having their own dream. And in their dream, they are suffering from their own emotional poison and they're looking for a place to dump it. And that's you. You just happen to be at the right place at the right moment for them to dump their poison. So it really doesn't have anything to do with you. It has to do with the timing of things, your proximity to the person, the moment that they couldn't hold on to it anymore and they lost control. It doesn't have to do with you unless you take it personally.
Oh, wow. You know what? That reminds me.
And then you do make it about you.
This reminds me of the sacred animal coyote lessons.
Oh, yes. We've been working with coyote for a couple of years now.
Coyote plays with the term, "Is that so?"
Oh, is that so?
Is it exactly this way? Does it have to be? And this giddy playfulness kind of comes out, and it's almost assumed to be almost impish, right? It's got to be this little animal that's in the background, just sitting here, just mess with you. Is that what it is? Just to see if it'll mess with you, and if you mess with yourself on that, if it really throws you off and how you react to falling out of place.
It's basically the unexpected.
Yeah.
You know, it's whatever you aren't expecting and would not prefer.
Well, and here's the extra piece to
shows up.
The extra piece to that is this playfulness also inspires us to remember, oh, so it has to be this way. And then when you realize, oh, this is all a dream. Oh, I'm dreaming. Okay, so let's play then. And
I'm dreaming and I'm probably taking myself too seriously, right, which is why Coyote shows up to begin with.
Reason to say that if we don't take it so seriously and so personally, that we actually, as a result, would have more fun, because now we're dancing through life, not suffering through life or pushing our way through. We wouldn't have the inclination, in my take, to share emotional poison with anyone, because we know this is all a game and we're not taking it too seriously.
But it takes a while for us to figure out it's all a game. So, yeah. So at first we really do take ourselves very seriously, and, you know, and somebody says something like, you're so stupid, that's a personal affront, you know, and we get upset and we react and we hawk back the poison, or we say, I'm never going to talk to you again, or, you know, whatever we do. But however we react to it in order for self-preservation. But when we start to stalk, we can become aware, we can see life as it actually is. And so we see the truth, which is that that person's just experiencing their own emotional poison and they're trying to hand me some. I don't want to receive that. So
I forgot it was all a dream.
Yeah. I don't need to receive it. And so we just send them love, like they're having a hard time and they're really like difficult right now, and just let them be. So when we have awareness, though, the thing that we have is choice. And so if we could choose to react or not react, we could choose to any number of responses. We have that choice. And when we have awareness, if we could have it all the time, we could change our routines, change our reactions, and completely change our life. We have to open our eyes and see life as it is. And then we can avoid a lot of emotional pain. So when you love yourself, you don't tolerate so much self-abuse, you know? So all of this is guided towards loving ourselves more. The reason that we're going to stalk and do all this really difficult self-awareness work is to increase our self-love. Because when we increase our self-love, we attract higher vibrational experiences, higher vibrational people, and we have an easier time at life. We have more fun, we play more. But let's say we don't like ourselves. Let's say that we judge ourselves. We often will do the opposite. We will numb out, we'll distract ourselves, we'll have alcohol or drugs or overeat or some other form of self-abuse. Like I used to go to the bar, you know, and hang out at the bar and have my drink and then commiserate with other people who are also having a terrible life. And then we would share our stories about how our lives were so terrible. And we would commiserate with each other and we become friends. And we talk about our suffering.
Interesting. So that almost opens the door to victimization or martyrdom being a key tool that leads you toward even more suffering, because, you know, love creates more love, but more suffering also creates more suffering. So if you're in the pathway of suffering and you start a momentum, it's going to lead to the next thing of suffering and the next thing.
And this is kind of like that law of like the 5 people you surround yourself with the most is like going to be your vibe.
So true.
And so if you're doing that, like I was, then it just kind of drags down. It has this way of dragging down until we choose to wake up, until we choose to see more clearly what's actually going on. And we choose to take the path to self-awareness and self-love and self-mastery. We choose to become the dream master. And when we make that choice, all of the universe supports us in making different choices and changing our dream. So the universe conspires to show us where we're out of integrity with the dream we say we want. And then we can make new choices with self-awareness. So that's pretty much the game plan of being the dream master.
So now the next question I have for you is, can we just avoid the emotional pain? If we live all this pathway, we could just avoid all the emotional pain that we're going to experience, right?
No.
So what do we do with that now that we know we're going to experience emotional pain? But I did all these things. 1 + 1 is supposed to equal a beautiful shiny, glistening life. But if it's not shining and glistening, what do I do with that? Maybe there's an allowing that has to happen there. Maybe the running from or avoidance of the problem leads you to a place of fear. And if you're in a place of fear, well, that takes you further away from love, right?
Yeah, we are going to talk about emotional poison and how to heal emotional wounding. But the thing you got to start with is to shift your gaze, right? So if you've been seeing through the eyes of fear, you have to recognize, oh, I've been seeing life through the eyes of fear. And then you need to put on some new glasses. So I might change my glasses on and be like, oh, I'm going to see through the eyes of love now. I'm going to put these glasses on. Oh, the world looks completely different. You know, when I'm seeing through the eyes of love, I see reasons to love. I see reasons to be happy. I see reasons to be grateful when I'm seeing with the eyes of love. And it's not like as simple as that, right? Like it's really not as simple as like, here's my new glasses. It's not like that. It actually takes stalking. It takes a lot of self-awareness and it takes diligence. And it's like all the time, because the more you become aware of, the more you become aware of, and you become more aware of more. And then it just keeps peeling back. And we're going to talk about that too. There's a really great quote that's coming up. I'll share with you in a bit. But first, let's talk about seeing with the eyes of love. So a lot of us want a good relationship. Like I definitely wanted a good relationship. I wanted the ultimate partner. I made my checklist of all the things that he would be when he showed up.
I did too.
And then when he showed up, I was flabbergasted because here he was. He looks exactly like my list. Wow. Check, 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 check. But is that going to be my answer in total? Just finding the right person? No, because a good relationship with others starts with having a good relationship with yourself.
And proper balance.
And I love how he talks about it in this book, because he talks about the first place to start is your body. That's so cool. Of course, if we can learn to love our bodies, and so many of us, especially women, probably men too, but I only know the women's experience.
Definitely from men.
Have so many self-judgments about our bodies.
Definitely men.
And so if we can learn to see our body with the eyes of love and gratitude, which is our physical representation of ourselves, then we can learn to love others too. And how do you think and feel about your body? Just take a moment and just be honest with yourself. Like, are you completely in love with your body, or do you have some complaints about your body? You know, I'm in menopause, so I have some complaints about my body from time to time. It doesn't operate the way it used to. It doesn't have the same energy. I can't eat as much dessert. You know, I got to slow down when I exercise. I have some things about my body that I'm not 100% happy with anymore because it's changed. And so do you also have like feelings about your body that are less than loving, that are maybe a little bit unhappy, or you wish it would be a certain way and it's not quite that way?
And you can see that that wasn't on your list. My list was perpetually to have a great body, you know, and very full and muscular and excellent endurance, and run 1,000 miles and jump off 40-foot walls. And yeah, the hero story. But then, 35 happened. Oh, my body doesn't quite work like that anymore. I can't jump off a 40-foot wall. And it's like, And then the inner work begins.
The inner work
At
begins.
least for me, it.
Because how you think and feel about your body and how you there treat your body is self-love. And so the way you love yourself, the degree to which you're able to love yourself and have compassion for yourself and acceptance for yourself, is the degree to which you can give that to someone else, that unconditional love. So he says this quote, "To create a relationship that takes you all the way to heaven, you have to accept your body completely." This is true. I will say. And then he talks about beauty, you know, because a lot of us have hang-ups about beauty. And you can use the word beauty or whatever word you like better. If you're a man and that word doesn't resonate, use a different word. But he says beauty is nothing but a concept. nothing but a belief. But you can believe in that concept of beauty and base all your power on it. Wow. And I can see evidence of myself, like basing my sense of power on my beauty or my lack of beauty or my perception of my beauty or my lack of beauty, and how I look now versus how I looked at 30, or how I look now versus how I looked 10 years ago.
What I looked like before that car accident happened, right? Or before you broke some bones, and some things happen, or some mental health things. Maybe you don't remember as well. You can't see the injuries, but there are injuries that are present within your brain.
And what if your mind doesn't work the way that it used to work? Or comparing yourself to others?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Like, we compare ourselves to others constantly. And let's say, I'm walking along and I'm with Akeem. And by the way, I'm 11 years older than Akeem. Not that it should matter, but it does to me sometimes. And so
little ageism.
Sometimes I have a little ageism towards myself. And we're walking along, and he's at the age that I was at my sexual prime, where I was just strutting my stuff and just completely skinny and looking hot and fine and just like coming on to guys left and right. And this is before my spiritual awakening, by the way. So forgive me my sins.
Well, now that's another conversation. Is that a sin?
We're not going to go into that chapter, though, because that is too much for this conversation.
Okay, we won't go into it. But I mean, is it a sin to figure out how you can honor your body and make space for that? We'll talk a little bit about that later, too.
Another time. But anyway.
Well, we have a little piece that'll pop in.
We have a little piece that's going to pop in. Yeah. So we've discussed our curriculum tonight. So we are basically, a decade or more apart. And so sometimes when we go out together, and there's been times when, because my opinion of myself fluctuates all over the place. Sometimes I think I'm fantastic. Other days I think I'm terrible, so it really depends on the day and the moment. And sometimes if I'm in a moment of like, I don't really like myself, or I feel icky right now or yucky, and we go out to dinner or something, and I'm not really feeling confident in myself. And then somebody really attractive walks by and I notice his eyes going, I'm like, kind of mad, like, what the fuck? And I'm like, but it's not really about him. It's really just about me. It's about my acceptance of myself, of my body. And by the way, it happens vice versa as well, because the same thing happens where he'll be feeling a little certain way, and then my eyes will catch somebody and he'll go, what? So we have these moments where that comes up for us. And so that's that stalking piece. That's like, oh, there's that. Okay, what part of me needs love? Okay, I'm not loving my body right now. I'm feeling some judgment about my menopause, or I'm feeling some judgment about the pounds I put on at COVID, or I'm feeling something. I need to work on loving myself. I need to open that up.
Yeah, and the feelings that might show up here and there, maybe a gap where you'll have a longing sensation and a feeling, and then you'll think it's wrong to have this longing for attention. But is the attention meant to be out there, or attention for you on the inside?
Towards yourself. Oh, and that's
a big one for me.
This is a great quote, and it's true, because the moment is to go inside.
That's been a really big one for me. This feeling that the love that I wanted, I had internalized that I could only get it from outside of me. And I realized that everyone fell short, like miserably short of my needs, because I realized the power doesn't come from out there. It's in here. It's in me. It's in the work that I do for myself. It's the way that I love myself. It's the way I talk to myself. It's the way I honor my mind, and the way that I honor my spirit, and the way that I honor my body.
Yeah, and when we liberate people from having to be that for us, our relationships improve astronomically. Because when we no longer require somebody else to be the perfect love that we always wanted, and to treat us exactly how we always wanted to be treated, and to love us just right, and to know all the things, and to do it correctly.
All the time commitments.
So much pressure, And because I'm not inside of Akeem, so I have no idea what he needs in any moment. He has to use words and communicate it. And then if I can, that's an agreement. It's like, yes or no, I can do that for you right now. Or no, I really can't right now.
Right.
But you can do it for yourself, so you're cool. So, we have these conversations because here's the quote. I mean, this is the truth. You are what you believe you are. There is nothing to do except to be just what you are. You have the right to feel beautiful and enjoy it. You don't need anyone to love you. Love comes from the inside.
Mhm.
And when you love yourself on the inside, it's amazing how many people on the outside love you. It's incredible. It's like all of a sudden the world loves you because you love yourself. So he also finishes up this section saying, if you see with the eyes of love, you just see love everywhere you go. So when you look in the mirror, in the bathroom mirror at yourself, you see love. Wouldn't that be fantastic? I know that this is not where a lot of people are, because I have a lot of students who I give the assignment of to go look in the mirror and look at themselves and be present with themselves for 5 minutes. And it's hard for people to do. It's really challenging.
Mhm.
So my invitation is go try it after this call and say, I am seeing myself through the eyes of love. I am choosing to see myself through the eyes of love. And then just hold space for yourself with what you witness.
Mm.
Yeah. Just be loving, kind with yourself with what you witness. And it'll get interesting because it'll start to shift. And why does it shift? Because when you stand in front of the bathroom mirror and you just hold presence with yourself and you choose to see yourself through the eyes of love, and even with your hand over your heart, hand over your belly, and you just say, what happens is a little bit of healing for the emotional body. So just like if I fell down and scraped my knee, and I often give people this example, when I was younger, I fell off a bicycle in the gravelly dirt and I scraped up my knee bad and it was filled with all that yucky stuff.
Mm.
And I had to go to the ER to get it cleaned out because you can't just put a Band-Aid on that, like it will get infected. And when I went there, I wasn't really sure what was going to happen, but when I got there, I found out that they actually had to scrub it. The wounded part that was so mangled had to be scrubbed and cleansed.
Mm.
This is what emotional wounds, this is the same thing. It's just that it's not physical, it's emotional, but it feels just as painful because we have to open that wound and clean it out. We have to do that in order for it to heal. And the scalpel, instead of a scalpel, what we're using is truth. And so when you look in the mirror and you really be present with yourself, you're going to see some truth about how you think and feel about yourself and your body. It's going to come up. The judgments are going to be right there. That's what needs love.
Mm.
So when you hold presence for yourself, looking in the mirror, you're acknowledging the current truth, not the forever truth, the current truth.
That's important.
Right?
Yeah. And that modifies and that grows as you grow. And well, as we know, life is an ever growing activity. So
yeah, and we got to start somewhere. So that's why I start now. It's never too late.
yeah.
So and our bodies also hold a lot of emotional wounds from places or times or events where we felt injustice happen to us, where we felt we were violated or something terrible was done to us, and our body holds on to the memory of that injustice.
Or along with that, something that we agreed to that would hurt us.
In case we were feeling self-destructive.
Well, it could be self-destructive, but it could also be this place of, well, I wanted to try this out and I didn't know how it would feel, but I'm experiencing this right now and it's wrong. And now I'm shaming myself for letting it even happen to start with.
Because we don't know everything. And so we have to try things out in order to know if we like it or not.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we try it, we realize we really didn't like it. Or like all this unexpected judgment and shame comes up out of nowhere. Like we didn't even know where it came from. Mm-hmm. So things like that can happen in life, right? But here's some comfort. This is another quote. The truth is relative in this world. It's changing all the time because we live in a world of illusions. What is true right now is often not true later. There is truth covering lies and lies covering truth. And this is the piece I really want to read you guys, because this I have found to be so true. So he says, like peeling an onion, you uncover the truth little by little until in the end, you open your eyes to find out that everyone around you, including yourself, is lying all the time. I have caught myself in so many moments of a story that used to hook my attention, that would project emotional poison on somebody close to me. And I've caught myself so many times in that going, wait a second, that's a total lie. I'm so glad I didn't act from that, because it just takes a moment to be still with it and to be skeptical of it in order for it to be revealed as false.
Now that's a hard thing to do though in the middle of the moment, right?
It can be, and I still get hooked. My attention gets hooked.
I do.
But the thing is that we practice catching it quicker and quicker and not reacting.
Yeah, and also as we do this work, our energy body is more healed, and there's less wounding, and with there's less wounding, and there's less reaction.
There's less places to hook in.
Right. Yeah, and
drama.
also you can also see the effect on your body of microaggressions. Out of clients that I've had with massage therapy and energy healing works that I've done and I've seen Carrie do, these things can get stuck in certain nooks and crannies throughout the body. One common one is stuck underneath the arm, in the armpit, and in your rib cage.
If you have an itchy arm.
Oh, there's that could be that, yeah. And also we're in places that we can't see, like our back. Like directly behind our back, so much tension from a massage therapist's perspective that's there. And when I unlocked it, there's been some people who've actually gotten visions of what was being released. One person I worked on once, we were at the end of a ceremony once, and one person that I worked on, I started working down his spine, and he goes, "Oh my God, as you're going all the way down my spine, I'm getting visualizations of this trauma that I put myself through, because I was training in martial arts and I was pushing myself through the pain. I was doing push-ups, and I remember my back hurting, and I remember pushing myself through it." So it got stuck in his back. It got stuck in his body, and he never completely got a chance to, should I say, wash it over with the water of love.
Yeah, it's really powerful. And, so when we don't get a chance to integrate, process, feel to heal, that stuff can just hang out there waiting for us to become aware, right?
Yeah, we can just kind of skip over it, and and not only will it be suppressed at first, it later becomes repressed. I had myself a lot of repressed stuff that I didn't think of, because the things that became repressed were things that I just didn't have time to see, or was distracting myself from being able to see, to the point to where I wasn't ready to do work. And it's 5 years later and I still haven't done any work on it.
And the work to be done on it is, again, telling the truth about it. So
start with
by not believing ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So this is his medicine. He said, he tells his students, don't believe me, don't believe yourself, and don't believe anyone else.
And by the way,
that's his fifth agreement of discernment.
This is the fifth agreement.
So by not believing, whatever is untrue will disappear like smoke in this world of illusion. I wanted to speak to that for a second, because that was a quote. What's amazing is that when I started working with the shamans in Peru, I noticed that they don't really get involved in story. Like, they're not really engaged in story, and they're kind of impartial about the story that you're telling. And when I was in training in the Four Winds Light Body School with Alberto Vialdo, he kind of mentioned this. He said, they don't really need the story. They don't really care about the story. They know it's not true anyway. And so all you're doing when you tell the story, this makes me think of my 20 years of psychotherapy sessions. All you're doing when you're telling the story is telling something that's untrue, and with a lot of emotion. And then you're making it happen even more. And so what the shamans do is they don't really care about the story. They just see the energy involved with the story. And then they know that you believe the story. And so what they want to do is loosen up your belief in the story. So they work with the energy to release the energy, so that the energy will disappear, and then the story goes with it. And then it's really hard after you've had a shamanic healing, if you notice, if you've ever had one, it's really, really hard to go back to the old story. Like, you would have to really try hard to create it again, because it's not there anymore. It's gone. So yeah, that disappearing like smoke in this world of illusion. And I love that he says, whatever is not true will not survive skepticism, but the truth will always survive skepticism. So go ahead and be a skeptic, because you will find what's true and what's not true. So how do we clean the wounds Like, what's the energy that cleans the wounds?
Well, I guess for me, or at least for what we've noticed, the big one is forgiving yourself.
Forgiveness.
And then as you have more space to forgive yourself, you forgive others too. Oh, wow. Then forgiveness surrounds you in all directions.
We've forgiven things, and it's amazing how forgiveness also makes things disappear like smoke.
It's like water.
It's like
water.
Was it even ever
wind.
there? I mean, and then you can't even go back to that because it's like, I can't even make my mind shift there. It's like done. That's over. Like I've forgiven it. And when you've
That's
really
pretty
forgiven
big.
it, it's just done. Like it's not even there anymore.
That's pretty big.
And the real forgiveness is getting beyond forgiveness. And he doesn't talk about this in the book, but I really feel like it's gratitude. Like when you can become so grateful for the other person and for the challenge and for the lesson that forgiveness does, it's like, because forgiveness kind of says something was wrong. But if you get beyond gratitude, nothing's wrong. It's like it was exactly perfect.
It led you to this point, this emotion, this feeling. And to appreciate it more, sometimes you've got to go through, scraping your knee a little.
You gotta get a little scrape. And then, of course, unconditional love is the balm that, heals all wounds. When we can unconditionally love ourselves, unconditionally love others, we accept what life is bringing us.
But Carrie, is that even possible?
It absolutely is.
What makes unconditional love? I mean, unconditional love, and we feel like we're just looking at this world and it's full of conditions. It's full of prices and strings attached. And is it really possible to practice unforgiving love while people are living like
unconditional love? Yes, it is. Because unconditional love is basically accepting all of yourself. So when you come across something that's triggering, when I come across something that's triggering, I speak for myself, I deepen into my own self-acceptance, my own self-compassion. That's the first place I go because I know that whatever's happening on the outside, it touched a wound that already lives within me. And therefore, if I come inside and I love that part of me, and I start there, the part that feels the wound, and I start with that part, not in self-pity, but in acceptance. And then I use truth to scour the wound. So I ask myself, I understand you're hurt. That was hurtful. Is it really true what you think? The next place I go, because I'm just like so fast with it now. Is that even true? What I think, the story I'm telling that made me feel bad, that I made myself feel bad with, is it even true? Is there any chance that it's not true? And of course, I know there's a chance it's not true because I know I'm living in an illusion. So therefore, it's probably not true. Is there any other explanation that could be more true? This is where I let go and I surrender and I open to the hollow bone and I just let my source give me one idea that could be more true, just any idea. And I listen to that, what could be more true. Now, if I'm really attached to being angry still, it might take me a little longer. Might take me a day, a couple days. But pretty much I'm going to go to this process. And we do this together in our relationship.
We do. It's a big one.
It's huge. And it's unrelenting because it's awareness. And the awareness never stops. The onion layer just keeps getting peeled back, layer by layer. And then you realize there's really no reason to be angry about anything.
Well, yeah, and you went right into the importance of time to discern it, right?
Yeah, practicing restraint while I don't believe myself. And that means not telling the story a million times. I had to really learn that. So the thing that we ultimately come to realize, and this is the last section in the book, is that God is within us. God, source, creator, the infinite one is all of us. It's within us. And so we make a shift from valuing knowledge to valuing wisdom. Now, it's interesting how he explains the difference. And he would say that the main way to use knowledge is to communicate with each other, to agree on what we perceive.
So now
listen to that, to agree
that's big.
On what we perceive.
So what if that moment that you were talking about earlier where is that even true? And the answer is yes. Then it goes right back to what you just said.
Well, but if it's causing me to be angry and out of sorts and reactive, chances are it's not really true. We might agree on it because we have the same matching picture or the same perspective.
And maybe in the same
in
frequency.
which case I'm still not going to believe it because he said, don't believe yourself, don't believe me, and don't believe anyone else. So, okay, I'm not going to believe it. So I'm going to let it percolate a little bit more and just ask into it some more and see, because a lot of times it's some piece of knowledge that's gotten in my brain as a sense of justice or injustice. For me, tends to be my hot buttons. Then I'll go, okay, that's a false idea that I'm operating from. So I get to transform it by bringing my shamanic healing tools to it and releasing that idea and then opening up to something more true in this moment. And remember, truth is always shifting. It's always evolving. It's relative. It depends on context and perspective. So knowledge is simply a description of the dream. So knowledge might be the facts that I share with you about the situation. But even that is not real because the dream's not real. So my facts aren't real either. You know, this is, this trips people out a little bit, I think, if you really think about this. But because the dream's an illusion, any factual evidence you might think you have as knowledge is also an illusion because, and this is beyond the scope of this conversation, but quantum physics is really fascinating because the observer influences the observed, and therefore there's no pristine observed. There's only the observed through the filter of the observer.
Yeah.
And so that means that the observed is going to change depending on who's observing it.
And something else I'm going to add to that. Now, I actually had a really awesome conversation about thoughts and discernment actually affecting the light protons that you are viewing. So literally just gazing at something, you're actually changing its structure. The way that you see it at the moment is actually sending signal and light and perception, and it's actually changing, and it shimmers, kind of like that sticker. I don't know if anyone's ever had those little stickers with multiple images on it. You know, it's got the different images. You know, it could be you just turn it this way and it's one image. You turn it this way, it's another image. But somewhere in between, you see the shimmer between the images. Well, that same thing is happening there, right?
Yes, and we have this part of our brain called the reticular activating system.
Oh, yes.
Which filters the information we perceive according to what we believe is true. Well, that's like social media. So, just think about that. Like social media filters the people in your list that you see their posts based on only showing you people that agree with you. And you never really see people that disagree with you anymore. Well, that's what the reticular activating system has been doing this whole time.
That's so
and
awesome.
So like
that is so awesome.
You're only seeing what you believe. So if you are experiencing a reality or the consequences of your reality are not what you desire, you've got to change what you believe in order to receive something that you do desire. That's how this is all done. And because it's an illusion, none of it is like, you're just never going to like have evidence besides your life showing you what it is and whether you like it or not. So wisdom is different. He describes wisdom without describing it. So let me say a few of the things he says.
You want me to quote him?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So knowledge, or not necessarily knowledge.
Down here.
When you are wise, you are free to use your own mind and run your own life. And when you become wise, life becomes easy because you become who you really are.
And he says, when you become wise, you respect your body, you respect your mind, and you respect your soul.
When you become wise, your life is controlled by your heart, not your head.
Yeah. So all kinds of ways of talking about wisdom without saying what it is. But I think we kind of understand what it is by those descriptions. And he talks about, what is awakening? And we're in the Great Awakening right now. So we're in the planetary awakening process right now. And we've been in it. And many of us know that it's the age of Aquarius.
Yeah.
And in our co-created reality of illusion, it's the age of Aquarius.
And the last time that
and astrology has shown us this because we believe it.
Well, it is, but also the astrological alignment that's been observed, that's happening right now, hasn't happened like this since the French Revolution in the 1700s.
And, so again, this is all part of our co-created reality that we're experiencing. But what he says is that the awakening is when you have the awareness that you are life. When you're aware that you are the force that is life, and he calls that force love, anything is possible. Miracles happen all the time because those miracles are performed by the heart. And I would add, the heart contains the part of you that knows that this is all an illusion. So, of course, you can create miracles when you know it's all an illusion. You can create miracles left and right because it's just an illusion. It's not solid. It's not reality. It is simply an illusion that we are experiencing. So here's a beautiful story he shares about Brahma. So Brahma wanted to play a game, but there was no one to play with. And Brahma is like God, right? And so Brahma created Maya to play with. And when Brahma told Maya what he wanted to play a game, she said, okay, I have one for you. She says, now create a universe, a world of illusion. And so he created a universe with galaxies and stars and suns and moons and all this beauty he wanted to share with Maya. And then she instructed him to create an intelligent animal that can appreciate all of this creation. So he created humans. And then with all this humanity, Maya cut Brahma into thousands of teeny pieces and put those pieces into every human. And the game, she told him, is to find yourself. So Brahma is inside of you trying to remember who he is, and Maya is stopping him from remembering.
Find the flag.
So God is in everyone. We are God and God is everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. And I would say not just humans. I would say
all beings,
all life, all sentient beings, yes. All life, including the tree,
to the ants,
the cat, atoms, my cat that's sleeping over here,
to the
everything, all the celestial bodies, star herself, Earth herself,
planets.
Everything is created of God, source, creator, great spirit. We are all that. It's everywhere, and that is love. Love is everywhere. It's all over the place.
One thing I want to add, I guess, is to visualize the oxygen as being a sacred piece of God. In every breath you take, you're ingesting a piece of God life reaffirming inside and outside of you. And it's reverberating like water. You're floating on the waves. You're floating in like a cenote or just in the sea, even if it's that deep, if you want it that deep.
Well, let's do that. Let's take some breaths, babe.
Okay. And so in practicing this breathing, I like to practice the Buddhic style. So this also helps you get more in your body. So we've been conditioned to breathe from our chest, which, by the way, is good for fighting. By the way, that was conditioning us for conflict, physical conflict especially. So we're going to go down into our gut. So with every breath in, we're going to visualize that God energy is filling our gut, which means our belly comes out. It's like our belly button begins to separate, goes out. So breathe in to breathing all out, and then breathe out to let all that air out that has cycled itself through, and then begin the process again. And do a few more of those breaths, and just remembering that with every breath in or out, this is creation sustaining you, inspiring you, thriving in you. The oxygen gets something out of this too. It gets to transition into carbon dioxide. It goes through transformation just to be with you and within you and help you sustain your life and the billions of cells in your body.
And it's one way to love your body and love yourself is to give yourself really good, deep breaths of oxygen. And if oxygen is life, you're giving yourself life. And if oxygen is love, you're giving yourself love. And so take another deep breath of life and love. You are here. You are here. You are here. Just remember that the whole world can love you, but that love will not make you happy. What will make you happy is the love coming out of you, the love that's in, the love that expresses, the love you feel, the love you speak, the love you see, the love you experience in this experiential Maya, this experiential illusion that we're sharing together. And the last quote I'll give you is, life is nothing but a dream. And if you create your life with love, your dream becomes a masterpiece of art. Pretty awesome.
It was all a dream all along.
It's a dream. So what dream do you want to dream tonight? What dream do you want to dream tomorrow? Stay awake in the dream. Don't go to sleep.
Don't get lost in television. Be inside your body and your mind and your spirit.
Yeah, because your life is that epic story that you might curl up with in a book or a movie. But your life has the potential to be that epic story when you choose to stalk your dream, become aware, and create what you desire in your own life and your own context. Love it, man. Love you guys. I hope that you enjoyed today and got something out of this conversation. So before we leave, just give us a word. Give us one word of how you're feeling right now in the chat. Tell us one word. How are you feeling right now with all of this? I'm feeling expanded. How are you feeling, Akeem?
I'm feeling joy.
Abby's feeling connected. Grateful, Gabrielle.
Grateful.
Love it. So I am so grateful too. I feel connected and grateful as well. And I feel so grateful for all of you joining us and on the podcast listening back. We're so grateful that you have listened to us all the way through, and hope you pick up your own copy of The Mastery of Love. This is my copy. It's been with me quite a while. Pages dog-eared. You know, I've read it many times and it never gets old. So get your own copy and read through the whole thing and blow your mind, people. Blow your mind.
There you go. It's timeless.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time, next month. And we're going to pick the topic and we'll let you know what it is. We haven't decided yet. And we look forward to having y'all back for another awesome gathering of Soul Nectar Tribe.
Soul Nectar
Have
Tribe.
a wonderful evening, everyone. We love you. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. Love y'all.